my fellow Americans, in this poignant hour, I ask you to join with me in prayer. Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic, our religion, and our civilization, and to set free a suffering humanity. Lead them straight and true. Give strength to their arms, stoutness to their hearts, steadfastness in their faith. They will need thy blessings. Their road will be long and hard. For the enemy is strong. He may hurl back our forces, but we shall return again and again. The darkness will be rent by noise and flame. Men's souls will be shaken with the violences of war. Some will never return. Embrace these, Father, and receive them, thy heroic servants, into thy kingdom, as we rise to each new day, and again when each day is spent, let words of prayer be on our lips. Give us faith. Give us faith in thee, faith in our sons, faith in each other, faith in our united crusade that will spell a sure peace, a peace invulnerable to the schemings of unworthy men, and a peace that will let all men live in freedom, reaping the just rewards of their honest toil. Thy will be done, Almighty God. Amen.
September went 3 days up at 2 days up at Columbus, inducted in. Went to Camp Robinson, Arkansas, Little Rock, and we was interviewed, and the guys that I went up there to Columbus with never went with us to Little Rock, Arkansas, and they put me in combat engineers. I didn't know what it was, and they immediately started combat engineer training. And the guys I went in the Army with, I've never seen them anymore. There was 6 of them. I was the second one of them. And the guy, they didn't, when we went to Columbus, that's when last times we ever saw each other. Everett Slaughter was my buddy, lived up the road. They sent him to Alaska to the Air Corps. And I went from Camp Robinson, Arkansas. They put me in combat engineers. So I took basic at Camp Robinson and went to Camp Bowie, Texas for combat engineer training. Went to Louisiana on maneuvers, field maneuvers, and we thought we was coming back home, back to Camp Little Rock, Arkansas. We ended up in New York. Get our duffel bag and our life jacket and everything, and shots. We was 2 weeks and a half going over and landed at Swanage, England. That's a jumping off point for ETO.
For the European theater operation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And I landed at probably D+3 or D+4, because when we went up, got first off of the assault boats, went up a rough ravine, and nobody shooting at us then. We'd already made our own beachhead, and first thing I seen is a German with black boots on a horse, hooked to a gun, because they didn't have enough men as using the horse for pull their artillery pieces. And his guts was hanging out. I thought, gee whiz, what I got myself into. So it just got worse from then on.
So how long from training? Like, how long was training until you got shipped off?
I don't know that.
Not very long, you think, or?
Well, I don't know what's long was. I went from here to to Columbus. I was inducted. They took me in, they sent me then in 2 days or 3 days, Camp Robinson, Arkansas. And I don't remember. The basic training was lot less than a year long, probably. I'm just guessing, 7 or 8 months. I don't know. Is basic training, then there's rifle range, and there's all kind of has all kind of different divisions in it. And finally, we was going on to Little Rock, Arkansas, and that was really intense M1 infantry training.
Okay.
And we went from there then to Louisiana, Camp Lake Charles or something, for on the ground training. And I had candy bars in my pup tent, me and another boy, and then big black boars running loose down there. They tore every pup tent and got our candy. So we got back on. We was only there 4 or 5 days, maybe 6, don't know, less than a week or less, and we got back on buses. We thought we was going back to Texas. Ended up in New York.
Yeah. So at the end of your training, when you got to New York, did you feel prepared to?
Oh yeah.
To go overseas.
You wouldn't have been with there.
Okay.
It wouldn't have been. They wouldn't. Some didn't make it.
They didn't make it through training.
Yeah, we had both mental training and of course they don't gauge your strength or manpower, but I don't know what they're looking for.
So you dropped out of high school to
They took me
enlist.
out of high school.
They took you out of high school. So
I
you
drafted. 6 of us went.
Okay. So
We were all seniors.
Okay. So did you talk to your parents about what they thought about you going into war?
No, didn't have no choice. You drafted.
No
questions asked.
You don't remember anything that your mom said to you or anything like
Cried
that?
her eyes out.
Did she?
Sent me a letter every day.
Did she? Did you?
I'd get them overseas, a box of them. We get them once a month, and you had to open them in the daytime because you couldn't at night give your position away.
Okay. Did you keep those, or did you kind of lose them as you went?
Get rid of them.
Got to get rid of them. Okay.
We burn them, and bury it in the ashes. Government's very strict on security.
Okay. So when you received letters, was that a big deal, or was it something that you looked forward to?
To what?
When you received the letters, so
You didn't know when you're going to get them.
no, but when you did,
You didn't have daily mail, maybe
No.
once a month, every 2 months, or 3 months.
Okay.
It was a surprise to you.
So when you said you trained for a combat engineer,
Yeah.
So did that give you specific responsibilities, like during
It's a
fighting?
combination of scouting, artillery, shooting, rifles. Combat engineers, you're on your own. They trained you to survive. In any given position, you're supposed to make a way for yourself. And 278 in your combat engineer training.
So when you said you were at Swanage, England.
Swanage, southern tip. All we was doing is preparing to get on a landing craft. When we got on the boat to go across there 40 miles, nothing in the air but boats in the water and planes in the air when they made the assault. Now we didn't land on D-Day. We landed D plus 1 or 2 or 3. That was military secret.
Yeah.
You know.
So they kept you guys in the dark. You didn't know.
Yeah. They told us and said, "Now we're going to get off. We'll be on a convoy. If you have to crap or pee, go off on the right side of the road and do it right where you're at." And we didn't go 2 or 3 miles up the road. 2 or 3 boys from A, B, and C company run out in the field. They looking for bouncing betties. They had German mines. You step on them, they jump up. And one of them stepped one of them and killed 2 or 3 of them. They done exactly what the training told them not to do.
Not to do. And that was pretty quickly after landing?
2 days, 3 days.
Hmm.
In other words, they had a combat engineers. They got a saying: only the smart survive. It's up to you.
Yeah. Well,
It's a combination of the infantry and artillery and combat engineers are. In other words, you're flexible. It can put you in different things.
okay.
There's one thing we put it. Of course, we couldn't. We was up the Rhine River, and the Rhine River's so rough you couldn't row a boat across it. And they couldn't get the artillery across it or the infantry, because the Germans had it a mile each way. We put up three spotlights, and I had the middle one. And the Germans, as soon as you strike them, they're electric. You're supposed to take them back 100 yards and have a protection, and do them in a foxhole. And we went out there at 3 o'clock, and we walked under artillery fire to get up to the Rhine River. We had to get the soldiers, the American Army, across that Rhine River, and they had me on the center one, and they shot the other 2 out, and we had 100 foot or 100 yard, I don't know, 100 something control. We were supposed to be back to a manhole. We didn't have time to build a foxhole. So Germans was bombing us, strafing us, and I run behind this building about 4 daylight in the morning. When it come daylight, it wasn't a building. It's Germans' ammo stack of it, as big as a house. They couldn't get across the river because they didn't have no boats to get across it.
So you thought it was a house?
Yeah, I thought it was a house.
And it was German ammo stacked high.
God, that's when Mom had to be up all night praying. Because if they had shut one of them off, I'd been moved back to the United States.
Wow.
You just one after another instance when they pop in your mind. I don't entertain them. I just never did. I know what I've done, and I'm glad to do it. I wouldn't want to do it again. I would have had to. But every day is a new appearance. A lot of it. Like this one guy, the company commander, I got his picture in there, real old. Not the company commander, company commander, one battalion commander. Old man. He had been fought in Iceland or someplace. He'd been in the military someplace. Real old. He's nervous, and we was in a 12-man tent. And he got out, went outside to take a leak, and he come back in a cussing at him and said, the best is just dropping parachutes all over the place. Said they got us surrounded. So we went out and started, it's getting daylight. Here it was, Germans had big bobs of cotton or something, and they just parachuted down, and they had metal in it, and mess up the Allies' radar and try to shoot him.
Wow.
And he thought we was being.
He thought it was men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here it was, they just tricking us. Germans was. It's hard for me to explain that, but I remember as it happened.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say how it is.
Did you have time, like when that was happening, for example? Did you have time to realize what was happening, or was things happening so fast you just?
No, you just do everything you can to live, and do your job. See, we have we had combat engineers. You got the big foxholes. You have to build bridges. You have to fight right with the infantry. They got us cornered one time and had Germans surround us, and they notified our commander, said, give up, said, we got you surrounded. he answered was back to nuts to you. We'd be far away out of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. When you were coming across the English Channel,
40 miles.
were you on the same boats or right behind the
It was
first
all
wave?
air was full of planes, and the water 40 miles was full of boats.
What was the feeling like on the boat crossing the channel?
Oh Lord,
Quiet or loose or
no, you just fright.
yeah?
Anything human that will resist what would kill them. And a lot of we wasn't in the first waves. The Germans was right above us on a big shelf of rocks, and they was most of the army, Allied army, didn't even make it up over the walls.
Right.
Because and I told people before, there's bones and guns and clothing in that English Channel 60 or 70 years later. To tear up, it's all salt water.
Yeah. So it's pretty fair to say that you probably thought you weren't going to make it home more than once.
Oh, you just depend on your training. Only the strong survive. That was what they told us. Only the strong survive.
You said that one of your commanders told all the guys something at the beginning. I don't know if it was training. They said something to the effect that you weren't going over there to come home.
Told us when it was loaded on the boat at Swanee in England. No, it was in New York. We started. Said, forget about home. You won't be home. You're going over to kill and be killed. That's word for word what he's told us.
So that stuck with you for a while then?
Still stick it with me.
So this is one you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but were you injured at any point?
Strafe, right there.
Scar.
I got the bullet.
Scar on the forearm.
I got it.
You got the bullet that hit you?
Yeah. In the drawer.
How did that happen? You care to share that?
If I can find it.
Or your story. How did it hit you?
I just know something stung me, and what it done. This glazed my arm there, took part way through it, and we was under around the railroad trestle, and it hit a piece of the iron rail and fell on the ground and was there spinning. After it hit my hand, it's there spinning, and I picked it up and burnt my fingers. But I got it. I don't know if I grab it quick or not. It's 30 caliber.
Oh wow!
German plane.
From its plane.
Yeah, that's straight us.
Okay. So you picked it up and kept it with you. That's pretty cool.
It was hot when I picked it up.
Yeah.
I had it ground spinning. Let me see if I grab it real second.
All right.
I can't turn it. It should be in the top drawer. I don't want to dig in. Something one time over there, I never could put any date on it. I got this kid, or little sister, little kid, picture someplace in my army papers, and I'd like to show it to you sometime, but I wouldn't know where to look now.
It's all right. We'll find it. Let me see where I am here on our questions. So you went like you just said, you went from Normandy to Belgium. Was there a lot of fighting in between there?
Spontaneous. We burnt down a whole town. I can't think the name. In Belgium, and we had the Air Corps would drop it, and they got a name for it that sets everything fire. That whole town burned up. We was probably 5 miles away, and you could feel the heat off of it. It burned up in one night.
Wow.
Because the Germans, the headquarters we thought was nestled in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only thing you do is you eliminate whatever
Yeah.
you think. Of course, you got officers that recommends what you do. Every soldier's not on their own, do as they please.
Right. Did you, once you landed at Normandy and moving into Belgium, did you have a heading?
Normandy is France.
Right. And then you moved into Belgium?
Yeah, that might have been 2 or 3 weeks or a month later.
Okay. So did you?
Fighting forces don't move by you couldn't. They got to fight their way. We outsmart the enemy and all that.
So you were just going where you were needed, basically. You didn't,
No,
or did you have a place that you?
No, we was going ahead, going with the force. We had no idea any towns unless you saw a town on a map. Every crossroads has got a crucifix. They're all Catholics. They got an image of the Lord that all them countries over have. German people especially would talk to us, the civilians, and a few of them could speak English. Said, "We don't want to fight. We don't want this country all tore up." But
Yeah.
they had to.
So when you were not not engaged in combat, what did you do in spare time?
You don't have no spare time.
So, were you digging foxholes?
Yeah, and we for latrines, we'd dig down as far as we could go, probably 3 foot, a ditch this wide, and then you you put wood pins or something wherever we got them, I don't know, and a string across there, and you could in it that night or day you could hold on that string, and go out there and straddle that and crap or take a leak, either one. If you're sloppy, you fall down in there, but they're only about that wide. Slit trench they call it.
Okay.
You bring back stuff I've thought about for 70 years.
Long time. When you were
Makes me nervous. I scratch it, itch all over.
Well, I'm not trying to make you nervous.
Well, it's just reaction, nerve reaction.
Yeah.
You never get that out of your mind.
When you were fighting in the Battle of the Bulge, we
don't call our fighting engaged.
Engaged. So you were engaged. Okay. Did you?
Some of us are doing nothing, and some are. Some of them feeding. Then if you could get hold of a loose truck and they're out of water, we could go so many. We know where there's water points at. Combat engineers have got their own water chlorine outfits to purify the water. You can take a muddy stream of water, you can take in booster pumps and put the right chemicals in it, formula that you use, chemicals, and it'll come out of crystal clear, safe to drink.
Safe to drink.
That's one of the things engineers do.
So is that, what did you eat and drink? You just drank water, or what else? What was?
Well, see, the mess halls, the feed is a part of every army. I was 278th Combat Engineers. They had their own kitchens, their own latrines, and their own. They just survive. It's their own world. And all any other Air Force or infantry would do would be assist us, but we're self-sufficient on our own.
Okay.
We're a fighting force on our own. And if we get in a pinch, we get assistance from somebody else. Well, it'd have to be Americans. It wouldn't be.
Right. When you when you were in Europe, were there like legends or like that's not the right word I'm looking for, but were there rumors about going around within your men about the enemy that they would tell back and forth, or if they would look forward to seeing?
Who you talking about?
Like were there rumors or anything like that about the Germans like going through the ranks of
in who? In America?
Yeah, within your company.
In the Germans, no, within our own ranks.
Yeah.
Oh, we know we was gonna beat. We didn't know when. Whip them. We didn't know when. Because we could outsmart them.
Yeah. So you.
But the whichever country was in, they just kissed our butt. They're not their military. They're
civilians.
General population.
Yeah.
They knew about the United States. It was rich bugs, and everything went in our favor. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no doubt that you're going to win. Just win is what the question.
Right. That's a good way of putting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you when did you find out the war was over, or did you?
We was packed up to go to CBI, and it had come over, and I don't know what's. See, we got our own intelligence. We got our own, and within our, but 278 combat engineers, we had our own news people, and they had ways of getting it, and I don't know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
That was confidential, but we had our stuff put on. See, that was all land down in the South Pacific, Ed, and we was ready to move us out when they dropped that big bomb on he was even where it was at,
mm-hmm.
and then they dropped the second one. Then the war was over.
Yeah.
And we threw the hats in the air and everything. Yeah, I showed you the cat inside that house we stayed in. Took over the library.
Yeah, I got a picture of that. So that was after everything was done. That was on your way home.
No, we was only there. I was only there 20 or 30 some days. You go home. You don't come home with an outfit. I was probably 700 or 800 people in my outfit, and I only had one or two buddies come home with me.
Really?
The points, you come home on the point system.
Okay.
And a whole army of 278 don't have the same amount of points.
It was individual points.
Yeah.
Okay, so even though the war was over, you still had to wait your turn according to your points.
I was about 50 some days getting out of there.
50 days after?
Yeah.
Well,
we left Germany and go ahead to Belgium and France. So we didn't fly out of Germany. We clear back. We didn't go to England. We come back. I don't remember where we did land at. What boat we did come on, but can't think of it now. Anyway, we was leaving Heidelberg. Heidelberg is a very educated. It's one of the biggest universities there. Mrs. Hirsch taught. She's dead now. Lives there with Hirsch Fruit Farm. She got her degree in Heidelberg, Germany.
Really? When you were coming home, what did that look like? Did you come back through New York, or where was it when you came home?
We come back. Yeah, saw Statue of Liberty.
Coming home.
We were just about home.
Yeah.
And they had on both sides. We was in the boat, but on both sides they had looked like high school bands in uniform, playing "Welcome Home." Welcome home. I can't think of it. Not soldier. Anyway, and just screaming, just carrying on, or we eat that crap up.
Yeah. Did you? When you got home, was life different for you than before you?
I got to New York. They put us on a rail car. We went to Camp Atterbury. Can't think where we mustered out at. They called me mustered out place. It was in Ohio. Can't think of it right now. Slipped my mind. Anyway, mustered out place where, and most of the people you didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't come home as an outfit. We come home as point system.
Right.
I had 57, and they were no soldiers with me that I went over with.
Where did the points come from? How'd you accrue
The government
points?
does them. They don't.
Was it just based on the time you've already served?
Everything. The length there, the days in combat, and how many missions you was in, and your conduct, and then your disease. If you syphilis stuff like that's really bad in foreign countries.
Yeah.
And if they tell you if you drip, you don't ship. If you get venereal disease, if you drip, you don't ship. They might put that note in there. If you're not a good boy, they'll make a good boy out of you.
Yeah.
Hey, and you know what? You'd think that we couldn't wait to get home.
Yeah. Couldn't wait?
No, it wasn't like that.
No.
We'd won the war.
Yeah.
We was the heroes. That's all we went to do. And we knew for the rest of it, we could handle it. We got that far. No, we could give a crap. I got to Indiana, Camp Atterbury, Indiana, that's where it was at. And I was going in line and take a turn. I could only bring one uniform home. And I turned all my other stuff in. And they had shipped it in a big bag, duffel by big bags. And I got home and run on to Bill Atwood. It was a cousin of mine, my mom's sister's boy. Well, he's always a drunk here at home anyway. And he came up to me and cussed. He said, "What are we going to do? Go home?" I said, "No, it's just if you wanted to, you could re-enlist right then. I've been going 3 years."
Yeah.
And I said, I tell you, Bill's his name. He ended up lived on the Hartwood Road for a while, and I don't know. He's dead now, but I don't know. Anyway, and I said, "Bill, it's a re-enlist." And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, let's go home." So Dad works the paper mill, and he runs out home and said, "Then we'll go back in and re-enlist." And once I got away from him, I never did.
Never gave it another thought?
Oh, no, it's going.
What was it like when you came home to see your mom and dad for the first time?
Tim,
Your brother.
my brother, was about this tall, about 7 or 8 years old when I left. And I come home 3 years later, a little over plus. And he was this tall, and his voice changed. And mom was there in the house. I said, "Where's Tim?" He said, "Well," she said, "Dad and Tim's up there behind the church house at Beulah picking strawberries." And so I went out outdoors. Mom rung a bell, big old outside bell up there at the house, still up there on post, I think. And here they come down the hill. And this big tall gangly kid with Dad. I hugged Dad. I said, "Who's that?" He said, "Tim." "Oh, no." Anyway.
He grew up.
Biggest change I seen, I went to the front room, and then you got their bedroom, then you got the bathroom. Well, before I went in the Army, their bathroom, Dad had put down some real pretty carpet in their bedroom, and blue flowered. And when I come home in 3 years, I went to the room to see the bathroom, and the Dad's carpet was like brand new. Mom's was nothing but threaded strings, where she'd been on her knees praying for us. Not only me, but all the boys in the Army.
Man, that's...
A lot of them, I had all kind of cousins and relations and friends in the military, and several of them got killed.
Yeah. You didn't know that until you came home?
No, you didn't know anything. Don't know anything. You get a letter once a week, or not once a week, once in a while, and but they supposed to be careful what to write it in. If they inspect ours, what we write, send out. But no, we didn't know what they was going to be like.
Yeah. So it was a pretty emotional return home.
Yeah. Atwood, one's going to re-enlist later after we went home. His dad, Orville, worked down the paper mill. So we some way got a hold of him, and he laid off from work and come to get us to take us home out here. But the Hammelbergs was a beer joint on Paint Street. And Jiggs's dad, Orville, he liked to booze it. So he pulled out and said, "We're going to go in and get us a good drink before we go home." I said, I'm going home." So they ran and grabbed him a beer and took me on home.
So sitting here today, would you say that the experience of World War II changed you?
Yeah, maybe very much so. Made you value life, what life meant to you, trust in other people, trust in yourself, knowing you can do anything if you want to.
That's a pretty good message.
It gives you a whole new outlook on the value of life and what you can do about it. And what you want to do, you can do if you want to. Bad enough. Sky's the limit. The thing in the Army, sky's the limit. I like it, Americans fight Germans, no question about it. Germans are going to get their ass whipped, that's all they're going to get it. There's no way out of it. Not America, not on a GI, go that far, I'd be 1,000 miles away from home, somebody's going to get their tail whipped.
Yeah. So, let me
Makes me nervous. Look, I see what I do.
Yeah.
I just can't keep from it.
So when you came home, how soon after that
It was hard for me to adjust.
was it hard for you to adjust?
Yeah, I know I was home and safe, and I had to know that was behind me. But erasing it was the hardest thing to do. I still can't erase it.
Did the a certain lady that caught your eye help to erase that?
Huh?
There was a young lady that caught your eye when you came home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her dad went to High Street Church, and my uncles and aunts went to High Street Church here in Chillicothe.
Mm-hmm.
And I met her dad and mom. When I was overseas, I'd seen her. She's a homely looking girl, but I never talked to her. She sent me letters and pictures.
She was writing you over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought, you want the truth. I thought, baby, when I get home, you're going. She's so too strict.
Yeah. Her parents.
She don't know. Yeah, and plus, she didn't know what army life was. Everything was honey and pie. We had party last night. Hey, we had all the gentlemen food like in a church, and we had young people rally, big bunch there. Hey, a guy on the front lines with a M1 rifle don't want to hear that. So what's anything good going on at home?
Right. Because
That's
you don't want to hear about that. You're
another thing's on your mind.
so
So there's a little more to it than just being a soldier and going and coming back.
So when did you change your mind? When you were overseas, you thought she was going to have to go when you got home.
No, I wasn't that. She went. I got me a car when I got home, and she wanted me to. She found I had one, and she thought I'd bring it by and show her. I didn't know her that well, and in fact, I never had a date with her after I come home.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maxine Ogden was her name. After I come home, values of life. I'm glad I was home, and I'm proud for my country and proud for my family. And girlfriend wasn't. But once I met Louise, your grandma, I'll tell you how that happened. The buses was all private owned. Charlie Miller.
School buses?
School buses. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting this mustering out money, just enjoying doing nothing. And he would work for Brewers Concrete and put it down streets in Chillicothe. Their office is up on Water Street. And he said, what are you doing? I said, just goof off. I just got home. Of course, he had seen me a day or two before. He said, I need somebody to drive a school bus that goes up on the Rube Hill. And he said, you wouldn't want to drive. I said, well, I'm getting $10 or $12 a day now. I said, I drive some. I don't want. I'm not looking for a job. So I started driving. I took drive a day or two a week. He'd pay me for the day. Just drive it up there and take him out and take him down there. And she was on the bus. Well, come winter time, I'm over one morning. It's about that much snow on the ground. He's underneath the bus with a kerosene light, putting chains on it. So I got up on Rube Hill, and her house was up a lane, and I thought, I'm going to take that bus up there for her house and load her, get her. And there 8 or 9 kids there. I went up and got them, brought them down, took them to school, and she dropped me a note off at my seat. She gave me a half a stick of juicy fruit, chewing gum. She said, I still remember that. Thanks, Mr. Bus Driver, for coming up and picking us up so we didn't have to walk on that snow, ice.
Yeah. Was she a senior or?
I think she's junior.
Junior.
That's how it started.
The rest is history.
She was pretty in school, and the boys, I couldn't go to a place. I had that Chevy, and they would stop me along the road and want me to roll glass down. They're going to get her out of there. at Glenmore down at, I can't think, down on 772. Where Turner Road comes out and goes down on 772, right there.
Sure.
That's where he lived. And he stopped me down towards town on 772, and when rolled glass down on where glass guy, he's gonna take her out of the car. I pulled away before I let him stand there. I sent word to him, next time I'll run over here and shoot you. Anyway, we got engaged, and the rest was my family.
Yeah. So at 92, you're 92 years old now, and it's 2000.
I'm crowding 93.
Crowd in 93. In 2017, knowing what you know now, would you do it again?
I'd do the same thing.
You would?
Well, if I know now, while I was sitting here, the only thing what hurts me is mommy.
Yeah.
Her cup's right there. I showed it to you already.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing though, the Lord allowed me to be right there in the house for that night with her. Dad didn't come home from school. He worked the midnight shift, custodian, and he always checked in.
So you said you would definitely do it over again. Are you glad that?
Hey, old soldiers never die. They just fade away.
Yeah.
You do anything you've done. These things I use poor judgment over there, but I wore boots with no socks in them, and froze my feet.
Yeah.
And things like that. You live and learn. You grow up. Army's a growing up thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So because it was when you were in Belgium, those were pretty harsh conditions, right? Cold and
yeah. That's where it was in Belgium, and we stayed all night in this old church. And an old man in the janitor church told one of our officers, said, I know where there's 80 or 90 people buried 3 or 4 days ago. And we was very interested. So we took it out. All the Belgian guys and German guys are supposed to be in the military was able. So we took what people could find. We say 278th Combination, 278th Engineer Battalion. We made them dig up this big, right down where bank, a big thing. They dug up 77 people bodies out of there. One of them was a little kid, about 5 or 6 years old, been shot through the nose. And another one was a woman, looked like a young woman. She had red hair after they washed her hair, and she died of the hair, wrapped full. She'd been buried alive.
had her hands in her hair.
See, some of that touching stuff is as touching to you as being right on the front line shooting at them.
Just seeing that stuff, yeah.
Being a part of it.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have any? Are you in contact with any of the guys that you were over there with, or?
Oh, I was young when I went in.
Yeah.
They're all gone.
Yeah.
Since we started a feed store, and we've had it 30 years. Probably 20 years ago, was getting up, what's that town way up there?
Hillsboro?
Huh?
Hillsboro?
Oh, no, way up, way up almost Lake Erie.
Oh.
Oh, shoot. I'll think about it here a minute. We get feed from it. Starts with C, I think. Anyway, the guy in the military with me, he'll come to me after look at this. His picture's in here. Oh, shoot. His picture is right there. He did. Ball, he's bald. He's from Georgia. This old man, he was too old to go over, but he went. Mm-hmm. That's Wackerly. There's me.
Yep.
Here I am. There. I want to say Cambridge, but it's not. This boy, this boy here, he was buying feed, and from his he happened to think about his hometown, and I asked the truck driver before it sit down here about this guy, and he said, "Well, I know where his mom and dad lives," and I don't want to say Coshocton, but it wasn't. It starts with C. And he said, I said, "Do you ever see her or him?" He said, "I see her once in a while." So I said, "I'll get her phone number." So in a week or two or three, when I get down again, he gave me a phone number. So I called her, and she's crying. And I told her who introduced myself on the phone, 200 miles away. Told her who it was. And I was in the armed military with your husband. So I just lost him 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Passed away. He had some, I forget what she said. And she said, "Tell me about him." And I've talked to 2 or 3 other women. One at Circleville, he passed away. I told David, "Take me up, I want to see him." And he coal black hair, and his pictures in there, 2 of them in the big picture. And I can't think of his name. Anyway, so his wife was there, they pretty well do, all black, dressed up. And she said, "Tell me about him. What kind of a soldier was he?" I said, "He's a good military. Did he like girls?" I said, "He's strictly a man, a married man." And this other woman from up at Coshocton, she wanted to know what kind of guy he was. How was he in the military? I said, "He's a good soldier." I said, "Me and him buddied around a lot." How was he around the opposite sex? I said, "A perfect gentleman." Oh, she said, I just lost him a couple of weeks ago. I'm so glad you called me." But I got disappointed. She never did call me back.
Never did?
Of course, she could have died. So that's reaching way out the military, ain't it?
That is. Well, I appreciate you answering my questions, and these are questions that the students came up with, and they would like me to thank you for your service to our country, and definitely giving them a little bit of what you went through. I hope it opens their eyes to it a little more.
We was drafted. You had to go. We went like good little boys, or like a patriotic guy would have done. And you could talk to any of them. If you dig them up and they could talk, they'd say, "I'm glad we done it." Time well spent.
Yeah.
Worried my mom and dad to death, but if she prayed, that's the reason the carpet's going. I'm sure where she prayed. Dad didn't pray, the carpet was wore out, but she got me home. Had something to do with it, our church. Charlie Miller, remember Charlie Miller?
Mm-hmm.
Him and Lloyd Miller, they prayed. Lloyd missed the Army. He was a couple of years older than me because he was a minister.
Yeah.